Hello and welcome to the Change Gang podcast with me, your host, Laura Ordile. I'm here to help you hold on to your sanity and your soul as you move through big change. I'm here to guide you from frustration to flow in your life, bridging the practical and the woo, just for you. Let's go. Hey, welcome Change Gang. Today we're going to have a little bit of fun. We're going to talk about mediumship. And there's a spiritual kind of mediumship connection, and there's also a more intuitive type of mediumship connection. And today we're going to talk about the spiritual kind. I'll save the intuitive version for another day. We'll definitely come back to that, because it's an incredible part of the intuitive process. But for now, let's jump into the spirit world. The definition of mediumship is generally of connecting with the spirit of the dead to bring communication from them to the living. It's been around pretty much as long as people have been around. Shamanism, spiritualism, voodoo, seers, and oracles, all of them were often in the business of connecting to spirit. Every culture has a version of someone who does this, yet it's often the place that some people fear to venture into. What if I connect something bad? What if we're not meant to talk to the dead? Shouldn't we leave well enough alone? Well, you have to be gifted to do that, right? Nope. To pretty much all of that. At least in my experience and my opinion. I've had all of that run across my mind over the years, though. But as I continue to grow and expand, so much seems to connect with ease. The mediumship is one of those things. Honestly, I don't know anyone that wouldn't want a message from someone that they've loved in their life that has moved on to the spirit world. And I'll tell you right now, you've likely already received one. Have you ever had a very real, vivid dream of someone after they've passed away? Like they were really speaking with you. You could feel them. That, my friends, is a visitation dream. It's a connection to that person in their spirit form. And it is real. Really real. Your subconscious is connected to that universal field at all times, and is often most open to receiving information and to that connection when you're sleeping. The normal everyday barriers are down, so this is the perfect time for someone to reach out and connect with you. You've stepped into mediumship right there. Having had these conversations with my own loved ones, I can tell you that they are so comforting, so loving. I remember that feeling about a dream after my dad passed. I couldn't tell you what was said in the dream, nor can I tell you how long or when it happened after his death, but I distinctly recall that feeling of that dream and that it was different than other dreams. I think I actually remember telling my husband Chris that it was like he was here. He was here and we were having a conversation like he was just in the room next to me. He probably was. Now, do some people have an easier time, an instant or natural connection to the spirit realm? Probably yes. Just like some people can more easily sit down and play the piano. And just like the piano playing, you can learn to connect with spirit. You are already connecting. So it's mostly a matter of learning to receive the information and to interpret it, just like you do in intuition work. One thing I've learned in my journey into mediumship is that spirit is always there. They always show up for you. It's just about letting down that wall that I talked about in the dreams intentionally. So you do it unconsciously in your sleep, and in the process of anything intuitive or in mediumship, you're doing it intentionally. I could go into all the mechanics of mediumship, but I'll leave that now for others. Okay, I'm just gonna share some of the joys of it and the emotion of it, just like I did with the story about my dad, and a little bit of my journey. So I was naturally in the world of mediumship because of all the other wonderful woo adventures I've explored in my life. And I've always found it to have a great wow factor, right? When you see a medium give a person information about a loved one and be bang on about the specifics, you pretty much say, wow. At least I did. And I still do. I'm not sure if it will ever lose the wow factor for me. I just think it's amazing and beautiful. I became friends with mediums. Online, probably in person, although, in person was a while back. It's just now coming back, thankfully. But with people online. Some call themselves medium, some phrase it as psychic medium, some spiritual medium, some use other words. The title changes according to the person. But regardless of the words, they all connected with the spirit world. They all brought messages from the, so to speak, great beyond to the person who they were reading for. Now, is every medium legit and working with integrity? Likely not. No, just like in everything, all right? There are people that are not going to be that way. But I think that kind of comes from mostly the fact that they don't realize that they can be and are a medium. They can connect. They just take what they think is a quick fix. They find some other way to give you some information that they think is going to be meaningful to you. They're trying to take shortcuts, which actually in the long run is probably the long way around. The shortcut would actually be doing the connection. So, hey, joke's on them. But I'm aware that it can be hurtful to someone if they end up working with one of those people with less integrity. So before we go today, I will give you a tip or two on finding and working with a good medium. Back to my own story here. I have had mediumship, as I said, all around me for a long time now. And in the beginning of my exposure to that, I thought, just as many do, that you had to have a gift, you had to be born with that connection to do what they did. I guess that's kind of true. Like I've been saying, we're all born with it. We all have that gift. So it's just a matter of working with it, practicing, exploring it, knowing. So I started to explore that mediumship world. And I found out that it's pretty incredible. Another wow for me. I could actually do this. Me, Laura, I could do this. I could connect with spirit. I could get information. I could get messages. Now, I kind of already been doing this along the way. In some of my readings, I would get information. I would have things that would pop up. And so I would say that. But all of this kind of really came as a new realization that I could do more and I could do it intentionally. All information kind of comes as that aha moment, does it? You don't know it until you know it, as I said. And then you know it, and it's like, oh, wow, this is great. So, aha, I could do this. And I wanted to. Kind of. I wasn't sure how to go about it, how I would want to move into it, what I would want to do. But I started having more and more interaction and kind of going into some mediumship circles, learning some things from some people. And the more and more connections I got, the more and more interest I had. So I started reading books, watching TV shows, following mediums online, and eventually I dipped my toe into some small groups, trying it out. And yes, it was scary. It was scary for me because I was afraid of not connecting or being wrong or not doing something right. I was afraid of that. I wasn't scared about the connection itself, about talking to someone that had passed on, that was dead. I was okay. I was okay with that part. But I was afraid I wouldn't do it somehow correctly. But I continued to reach out and explore and move into it. And I did make that connection. I did. I was able to. And oh my goodness, what an incredible feeling. It's like landing safely in the water after jumping off a cliff. You have that aha, and at the same time, yay, all in one. The relief and the excitement that comes. So it's pretty cool. So then next I was kind of moving in, and I was doing some of my planning and deciding on my adventures and learnings of what were coming for the next year, because I like to do that. I like to see what I want to explore. And mediumship kept sneaking in there, but I wasn't really sure about it. I had only done it as a little bit of fun, or kind of an exploration, watching what people did and finding the joy in that. But I wasn't what I would call necessarily naturally good at it. Yet, it kept popping up. And so one day, I was having to make a decision on whether to move forward or just drop it. To let it go as something I had interest in, but wasn't really going to go deeper with. We've all had those things, right? You have to make that kind of decision of, I'm going to go deeper, or nah, I'm good. So, as I encourage many people to do, I went to my own intuition. And yet, I was still seeming to get some mixed messages. And I knew it was because I was kind of doubting myself. That imposter syndrome that I've talked about before was stepping in. Who was I to do this? I'm not special. I'm not connected. I might get it wrong. I'm not whatever other thing my brain came up to try and tell me, so that I would stay in that safe, comfortable zone and not get it wrong. But I came to a point one day where I was really frustrated with my indecision, with my lack of clarity of it all. So I decided to have a little conversation with my team, my guides, my guardians, my ancestors, whoever was going to show up for me in that moment. I was going to have a word with them. And I was out. I live in Montana, so I live in the country kind of, and I happen to be out driving in the country this day. And good thing we can talk hands-free, and people will think you're on your cell phone, because I was having this full-on conversation with myself, with the guides, with everyone, whoever was there with me. I was having this intense conversation, and I was cranky about it. I was frustrated. And so I finally said, hey, I need you to give me a blatant sign if I am supposed to move forward in this mediumship arena. If I need to go ahead and schedule to, for my finances, for my time, for all of that in the coming year to step into this, I need something to say, yes, go in that direction. And I decided at that moment, and I said it out loud, driving in my little car by myself, I said, okay, if this is what you want, I need you to show me a moose. Now, this is not impossible in my area. It's not a daily occurrence. So I thought, that's a good sign, because it's possible to show up, and yet it's not something I'm going to see all the time driving down the road. And I made it very specific. I said, I want a big bullwinkle moose. I want the big horns on it, the big antlers. I want it to be very blatant that you are showing me this big moose as a sign to move forward. And then I continued on in my day, let the frustration level come down, and was moving through and pulled over for a minute to take a break, to gather myself, to kind of have a breath, and jumped on to my phone, as so many of us do, and was scrolling through some of the social media stuff, and got interested in a few posts, got sidetracked in what I was doing. And then all of a sudden, boom, there was a picture right there, biggest day, on a post that I was reading, of this big bullwinkle moose. And it was so hilarious, because it actually had the words that said on it, "Don't take yourself so seriously." And I laughed out loud. And that was my sign. That was my sign right there. I had my moose. I knew it. It wasn't going to be the big live moose. And you have to be open to those signs when they come, that they're going to come in the way that they're going to show up. And it might not be in the way that you expect. I wasn't expecting that, but there it was. So, boom. Okay. I got my direction. I got my sign. So now I was going to head into this whole new world of connection. And I knew the person I wanted to work with, and I went for it. And I am right now in the midst of a mentorship in mediumship with a great teacher in medium. Do I still get nervous? Oh, yes. Pretty much every time I show up. And that's okay, because I also go into it knowing that I'm going to mess some stuff up. I'm learning. And on the other side, I'm going to connect. I'm going to receive the information I'm meant to for the other person. And I'm going to have a message for someone that is right on in that moment for them. I am going to succeed. And the decision I made with going into this training was that it was all for me. It wasn't going to be something I decided to do to expand my toolbox, so to speak, or to be useful in my work for others. I did this one all for me because I wanted to explore the connection. And I think we all need to do those things sometimes, to tap into something just because you want to, not necessarily to serve any other purpose. Do I think that it will be something someday that I can expand on and use to the benefit of others? Yes, I do at this point. But I'm not in a rush for that to happen. I have plenty of other skills and tools in my toolbox to help others, to help you. And I love using them just as much as I'm loving learning this. But I also love not having the pressure of making it into something quote unquote productive. It can just be what it is in my life right now. It's where I don't have to take myself so seriously. Haha. And I can move into it and feel the joy of it. So, on to a few tips for finding a medium. If you're wanting to get some of your own connections and messages from loved ones. First, get recommendations from someone you know has been to a medium. Who did they go to? What was their experience with that person? Would they absolutely recommend that person for you to connect with, or maybe not? And then go and find some of the mediums that you're interested in. Follow them online for a bit and get an idea of how they speak and what they say, what they do. This will tell you a lot. Do they have the feeling of connection that you want? Or are they more about telling you maybe how famous they are or something like that, which doesn't connect with you? I mean, if that's what does connect for you, hey, go there. But to me, it's about talking about the conversations that they've had, the connection with spirit, all of that. And of course, check for independent reviews out there for you to read. See if you can find anything on Yelp, Google them, look at those things, and read the good and the bad ones if there are any, because sometimes reading both might give you information in a well-rounded way. And yes, there are people that are dissatisfied or put stuff out there, put a bad review for a reason maybe that you aren't aware of, but there might be one that you read that has information in it that somehow clicks for you and says, oh, yeah, I'm not sure about that. So maybe I'll wait, or maybe I'll explore a little more and see. And really watch like the videos that they put out there. And this is a little bit of a crazy reason, but we all know that there are people in the world that we cannot handle listening to, or their mannerisms just make us crazy. And if you're distracted and annoyed during your interaction with them, you won't get that valuable, wonderful connection you're meant to. I know that sounds maybe a little shallow, but it's true. It's true about anyone that you work with in any capacity, but most definitely in the realm of spirituality, because it's a connection that you're coming to at the soul level. And every part of you needs to be comfortable with the time that you're spending with that person. Once you know who you want to work with, or maybe have an idea of a particular person, read all you can about them, and possibly, if you're able to, reach out to them. Ask about the process. Ask about the expectations that you can have going into a reading with them. Some readers don't do certain things. Maybe they don't allow you to choose who you want to connect with. And if that's of the utmost importance to you, then that would not be a good match, right? So ask about the things that you hope to gain from the experience, and be sure to match up the services with the medium and what they're willing to provide, because that's an incredible thing. So that's my chat about mediumship for you today. I hope it was fun. I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope that maybe it showed you that it's been around for a long time. It's something to experience and enjoy. And if it's right for you, jump in, have a good time, and enjoy it. So that's it for me today. I hope today's episode was interesting to you in some way and fun. If so, hey, find someone to share it with. Maybe they need to hear it too, or maybe they'll just enjoy it. If you'd like, go ahead and grab my tips on supercharging your success. It includes a free short meditation to do just that. You can find that at bit.ly/supercharge your success. Until next time, happy day.